Hi everybody, it's Martin here with more down-to-earth teachings on mediumship, without the fluff. So in this video, I want to talk about what is the best time of year to do mediumship. Is there a best time of year to do mediumship? I know some mediums, some teachers who say that Halloween is the best time of year to do mediumship. I know others who say that Christmas is the best time of year to do mediumship. I know that other people talk about the seasons and say there's certain seasons where mediumship is easier and there's other seasons where mediumship is harder. I know others who say that the moon cycles affect mediumship and that mediumship is easier nearer the full moon. So I'm going to talk about all of those and I'll tell you if I agree with any of them. So if that sounds of interest, stay with me. Okay, so is it easier to do mediumship at certain times of the year? And if so, when is the best time to do it? Let's get into it. So we're approaching Halloween. We're approaching All Hallows Eve, the 31st of October. And many people will tell you that it's easier to contact the spirit world at Halloween because the veil between the two worlds is thinner. The spirit world is closer to the earth at Halloween than at any other time of the year. Now, as a medium, I'm not aware of any veil between the two worlds. I'm not aware of anything that separates the two worlds. No veil, no blanket, no fog. For me, there is no veil between the two worlds. The spirit world is constant. The spirit world is always there. The spirit world is only a thought away. The spirit world doesn't move away and come closer at different times of the year. Of course not. No. The spirit world is a constant. So for me, the spirit world's always there. All we have to learn to do as mediums is to move our mind, to move our awareness, to blend with the spirit world. And for me, it's equal at any time of the year, so I don't believe it's any easier at Halloween, no. So let's move on to Christmas. So some people will tell you that Christmas is the ideal time of year for you to connect with the spirit world for a variety of reasons. Christmas is a time of peace on earth and goodwill to all men. Christmas is a time of celebration and positivity. Christmas is a time of decorations, of lights, of festivity. Christmas is a time for families to come together, and Christmas is a time when we remember our loved ones who are in spirit. So for all those reasons, it is said that Christmas is the ideal time of year to do mediumship because the conditions are just right for mediumship to take place. So I believe there is some truth in that perhaps mediumship is that little bit easier at Christmas. Because Christmas is a time of positivity. Whenever I do a demonstration of mediumship, a Christmas special or a demonstration near Christmas, I do notice that with the lights and the decorations, that does give a bit more energy, a bit more upliftment. And I do notice that the audiences do seem to provide just that little bit more power to the medium to work, which makes our mediumship just that little bit easier. We get that bit more power, especially for demonstrations. So yes, I believe there's a bit of truth in that mediumship is easier at Christmas, particularly for demonstrations, public demonstrations of mediumship. If you're enjoying this video so far, do hit the like button, do leave me a comment and let me know. And if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell to be notified of future videos. So let us move on to the seasons. So I know some people who say that mediumship is easier in some seasons and harder in others. It's generally said mediumship is easier in the spring and summer and harder in the autumn and winter. So let's look at the energy of the seasons. Let's look at spring. In spring, the days begin to lengthen as we come out of winter. It turns warmer. It becomes lighter in the evenings. It's a time of growth, it's a time of life, it's a time of energy. As all the plants, the trees all grow, come into leaf, come into bud, all the birds start singing, we have that real energy in spring. Then when we move into summer, summer is when we are at the warmest time of the year, the hottest time of the year, the time of the year where there is peak growth, the time of the year where is the longest day, the time of the year when we have the most light. So that we have an energy in summer of growth, of light, of warmth, of heat. So we can understand then when we look at those qualities why we might say that mediumship perhaps is a little bit easier in spring and summer. Then we look at autumn and winter. In autumn, the days begin to shorten, it begins to get darker in the nights, it begins to get cooler, growth stops, trees begin to lose their leaves, and the energy begins to shift. We're moving into a time of harvest, of collecting in all of the fruit and vegetables. So we're moving into a time of settling in for winter. So when we move into winter, we have the shorter days, it gets colder, there's a lack of daylight, there's a lack of growth, trees have all lost their leaves, and there doesn't seem to be any growth within nature. And the birds fly away to warmer climes, and some animals go into hibernation. That is the energy of winter. So when we look at those qualities, then we can say that yes, maybe autumn and winter are a more challenging time of year to work, perhaps. And I know some mediums who find it particularly hard to work in winter. I know some mediums who actually don't do demonstrations and give up their demonstrations over the winter period. If you like, they go into a form of mediumship hibernation. I know other mediums who don't like driving in those dark nights, the cold nights, the winter weather. They don't enjoy it quite so much. So the question is, will seasons affect your mediumship? And the truth is, it's all about how the seasons affect you. Now we have to look at certain things like temperature, because above a certain temperature it's hard to work. I find it quite hard to do mediumship when the temperature goes above about 28 degrees C. When it gets into those 30 degrees or above, I struggle with mediumship, and it's purely a physical temperature thing that affects me. Similarly, if it's freezing cold, I have worked in churches where the heating's been broken and everyone's in there all wrapped up in their coats, their scarves, their hats, their gloves. And as a medium, you're not dressed like that. As a medium, you may just be there in a suit on the platform. And I've worked where my fingers and my toes have been ice cold, and I've been brutally cold. And it's incredibly hard to work when you're freezing cold. So physical temperature can affect your mediumship. But also the energy of the seasons can affect people. We're aware that some people become depressed during the winter period. Some people are affected by what's called seasonal affective disorder, and they struggle a bit with winter. If you're that kind of person, that can also affect your mediumship. Many people are energized by the energy of spring and are quite happy working with the summer, happy with autumn, but winter may be the challenge. But it's down to you as an individual, how the seasons affect you. And if you're developed well as a medium and you're not particularly affected by the seasons, there should be no reason why you can't work perfectly well through all of the seasons. So let us now move on to the moon. So I know that some mediums and teachers teach that mediumship is easier at a full moon and much harder at the new moon, because the full moon is said to bring more energy, bring more power to our work. Now for me personally, the moon cycles don't actually seem to affect my mediumship. I have a very logical mind, a very scientific mind. I have a background in science, I have a degree in physics. So for me, when I heard this theory, what I did was, for a course of a year, I wrote down when I did sit-ins, I wrote down when I did dems, and I scored how well I felt they went. Were they good, or were they a bit of a challenge? Understanding that all mediumship is variable, sometimes we have a flyer, sometimes we have a lousy night, I get that. Some sit-ins are brilliant, some aren't, I get that. So I kind of rated it all across an entire year without ever looking for moon cycles. And then what I did at the end of the year was I then plotted it all against the moon, whether it was moving into a full moon or moving more towards a new moon. And I looked to see, was there any pattern between when it was good and when it was not so good? And for me, there was no pattern whatsoever. It was random. So that tells me, for me, there is no difference whether there's a full moon or a new moon. But your mileage may vary. You'll have to test that for yourself. But one thing I'll say is you must keep an open mind, because your beliefs can affect the outcome. If you believe that your mediumship will be easier at the full moon, then that belief becomes your reality. Thoughts become things. The mind is a very powerful thing. If you look at a moon calendar and say, full moon should be a good demonstration tonight. New moon, it's going to be lousy tonight. Then how we think does actually affect our mediumship. Absolutely. So by thinking it's going to be a struggle, you may encounter that struggle. So you have to keep an open mind. So test it for yourself, but do so with an open mind. So in conclusion, For me, the spirit world is constant. The spirit world never moves away or closer to us. The spirit world is a constant. And because it's a constant, therefore, mediumship always works, because as mediums, all we are doing is we are moving our mind to blend with the spirit world. So mediumship should always work all year round, provided the medium is in the right place. Because whatever affects us personally, emotionally, mentally, or physically will affect our mediumship. So the energy of different times of the year can affect us, and that can have a knock-on effect in our mediumship. If we feel low in winter, that can make our mediumship harder in winter. If we have strong beliefs, that can affect our mediumship. That strong belief that it will be better at the full moon, yes, that may affect your mediumship. So is there a best time of the year for mediumship? The simple answer is no. Mediumship works equally well all year round, provided you yourself are in the right place. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button, do leave me a comment, and if you enjoy my videos, consider subscribing to the channel. So I hope you got a lot from it, and look forward to seeing you all again in the next one.